My name's Naim.
And I'm Mariana.
We're part of the Hillsboro Youth Advisory Council.
We, along with 20 other phenomenal high school students from around Hillsboro, help our city make more inclusive decisions and policy work by making it more inclusive to the youth perspective in our communities.
We're really excited to be here for the State of the City.
It is our honor, and without further ado, please welcome this Mayor of Hillsboro,
Steve Callaway.
Thank you, Mariana and Naim. Thank you to our Hillsboro Police Department and Hillsboro Fire and Rescue Department for presenting the colors. And thank you for so beautifully singing our national anthem. And thanks to all of you for being here. It is good to see you, and it is good to see everyone finally, once again in person, for a State of the City address for the first time since before the pandemic in 2020. And the nice thing about being here in person is that you can't turn your camera off, and I am not going to mute myself. Now, some things are different since the last time we met. For instance, we have people joining us tonight on our Facebook live stream. And another difference is where we are gathered tonight, because Hidden Creek Community Center didn't exist in 2020. But one thing that existed before the pandemic and throughout the pandemic and revealed itself more than ever is how much we care about each other, how much we need each other, and as tonight's gathering proves, how much we want to be with each other. And that's one of the meanings of our theme tonight, Engage Hillsboro. Tonight, you'll hear about ways we are engaging as a city with you. We will share ways that you are engaging with us and also with each other. Because one thing the pandemic reinforced, and that is that we really do need each other. Now, I would like for all of the electeds, not the council, but all of our other electeds to please stand. And I want to thank each and every one of you for your partnership, for your friendship, for your relationships. You all make the heavy lifting easier. And even when I may be pulling and lifting in a different direction, it is still a good partnership, and I couldn't do the work that I do without you. Nor could I do the work that I do without our city council. And so as I call your names, would you also please stand? Council President Anthony Martin. Councilor Olivia Alcaire. Councilor Beach Pace. Councilor Gina Sanchez-Roletto. Councilor Kipperlin Sinclair. And Councilor Rick Van Beveren. Now, with Councilor Sinclair's swearing in earlier this month, this is the first time in Hillsboro's history that a majority of the elected councilors are women. It is worth noting that in 2008, we also had a majority of women as the result of a council appointment. And I'd also like to recognize Councilor Allen, who finished his 8 years in service earlier this month. Our council never serves alone. Family members get pulled into this, so thanks to them for supporting our schedules, our work, and our commitment. And my biggest debt of gratitude is to my wife, Joan, for her steadfast support and patience. And I promise you're not going to have to applaud after every single line. But from my home, yeah, thank you. From my home family to my work family, thank you to Robbie, to the staff who helped put this on. Thanks to our YAC for all that you do. And thank you to every single employee who works for the city of Hillsboro. Now, we came here to Hidden Creek this year to share this facility with you. Because talking about it because seeing it in person is better than hearing me talk about it. Now, staff here have grown membership by more than 400%, growing from 1,248 members in year 1 to 6,230 members at the end of year 2, at the end of the second year. And clearly, this community loves its community center. And we recognize that our main assembly hall, where we're gathered tonight, is named Kalapuya Hall in honor of the original inhabitants of our region. And right outside these windows this fall, we will open our community's first inclusive park and playground.
I am so excited about this playground project. I think it is designed with such intention and community input and creativity.
It's really important to a community because it creates community. Inclusivity is a gift to our community.
Seeing the uniqueness of this giant indicates just how unique this project is and how unique Hillsboro Parks and Recreation is, especially in the ways that it tries to connect and empower folks experiencing disability.
This beautiful space that is going to serve generations for a very long time. I mean, we're creating an enduring asset here that is going to be a jewel of our community for years and years.
Equity supports different people in different ways, and we are living our values. There's a saying, you can pretend to care, but you can't pretend to show up. And with this playground, Hillsboro is showing up. And I look forward to seeing you all at the ribbon cutting this fall. I want to thank especially our federal delegation, particularly Representative Bonamici and Senator Merkley, for their support in securing a $3 million earmark for the inclusive playground to support this project. The creation of this inclusive playground and park comes from our engagement. We heard from parents, and from that engagement and their requests came the creation of our inclusive park. Even the name of the friendly forest giant comes from the community. Oro, which means gold in Spanish, is a name suggested by a child and selected by the community in an online poll.
The work that I'm looking forward to in 2023 is our continued work as a city around equity. Equity as a system. I have been very happy with the work that has happened since the pandemic, the lessons learned, how we've applied it, and tried to incorporate it into our systems. So, for example, something that has really stood out is our community outreach. When we are inviting the stakeholders in, and not just in one way, but in various different ways to make sure people are at the table, which has benefited and made things so much better when it comes to the projects. So this will be a journey as we continue as a city, since these are the residents that we serve. And I look forward for this to become a normalized part of our process.
And that brings us back again to tonight's theme, Engage Hillsboro. Although Engage Hillsboro is more than just a theme. During the pandemic, we recognized the need to change how we as a city reach out to people. Our City Council set a priority 2 years ago to increase outreach and two-way communication with our residents. Engage Hillsboro is one component of realizing this commitment. And as we continue building a community where a sense of belonging is felt by all, the more important it is to create space for everyone's voice, particularly those historically and currently marginalized. Engage Hillsboro provides a way for Hillsboro residents to engage 24/7 on your phone, computer, tablet, however, whenever, and wherever it's convenient. Now, our Parks and Recreation System Plan was our first project on Engage Hillsboro when it launched last year. Combined with in-person outreach, more than 2,000 people have already contributed more than 11,000 votes or ideas in the early planning process. And this really builds upon the type of outreach that was so critical as we created the community-led Hillsboro 2020 Vision and Action Plan and the Hillsboro 2035 Community Plan. Now, Hillsboro is the most diverse large city in our state, so we need to make sure that we hear from people with different perspectives and life experiences, and Engage Hillsboro helps us do that.
As an incoming councilwoman, I'm thrilled to share about the city's new online platform, Engage Hillsboro. A healthy democracy requires outreach and public engagement. As a service-driven candidate, public engagement is at the forefront of my priorities. Communication can be an empowering tool. Get engaged. Be a part of decision-making. Help shape Hillsboro's future by sharing your thoughts, ideas, and feedback in projects and priorities that matter to you. As a community, you've got feedback, and we want to hear from you.
Thank you, Councilor Sinclair. Engagement that is responsive, inclusive, and culturally appropriate is the very foundation of equity. And equity, specifically racial equity, is also a City Council priority. We're tracking our use of suppliers as part of our supplier diversity program, and city departments are working on their individual supplier diversity plans. Equity was a pillar in defining how we spent American Rescue Plan funding. And this includes our partnership with the City of Beaverton and Washington County as part of a shared approach to equitable community engagement. We're actively engaging with marginalized communities in land use planning. In fact, equity is infused in so many of the services and programs that we provide, and we're working to infuse it within all that we do. You can see this infusion, for example, in the futsal goals added earlier this month at 3 of our city parks, or the renovated futsal courts at M&M Marketplace, and the piñata poles added at Walnut Street Park. We appreciate and celebrate our cultural differences and the strength of our diversity through events like El Grito, Pride Party, and the Latino Cultural Festival. And recently, we celebrated 200 years of partnership between Mexico and the United States with a proclamation that recognizes the contributions of Mexican Americans in Hillsboro. And I would like to acknowledge and ask Consul Carlos Quesnel, who is here with us tonight, so that we can acknowledge and thank you for your partnership. We are actively engaged with Spanish-speaking community members in the Calle Diaz area of downtown Hillsboro to help plan the area's future. We recently launched a bilingual Little Sprouts preschool program on site at M&M Marketplace to complement the Little Sprouts preschool programs at many other locations in Hillsboro. Our library is also a prime example of equity in action, and with our efforts to make Wi-Fi hotspots and laptops available for checkout, with story times offered in multiple languages and tiny branches popping up in neighborhood parks across the city. And don't forget all of the amazing resources, services, and events happening within Brookwood and Chute Park libraries and through our partners within Washington County Cooperative Library Services. It is amazing how much value you get from your WCCLS library card. And inclusive and adaptive recreation programs exist here at Hidden Creek, and it's where wheelchair rugby teams come to practice. Our city's commitment to supportive employment has proved so valuable to providing city services and creating job opportunities. In fact, Hillsboro was recognized as the 2022 Public Employer of the Year by the Oregon Resources Association, a state advocacy network for people experiencing disabilities. Our city employees as a whole are a tremendous point of pride to our city. And I want to congratulate Joffrey Kavulia from the Hillsboro Public Works Department on receiving the Robert Phillips Regional Diversity Award from the Northwest Public Employees Diversity Conference in 2022. This is the second straight year a City of Hillsboro employee has been honored with this award. Erlene Ryman of the Hillsboro Police Department received the award in 2021. And I also want to highlight our great community partners, the Hillsboro Hops, who received national recognition for their work with Los Soñadores. And they just announced that Ronnie Gajownik will be the team's first female manager. This is the highest level that a woman has managed in professional baseball. And I could hardly wait for opening night and the beginning of the 10th season for the Hops on April 13th. So many great things are happening in our community.
I'm most proud of Hillsboro's highlight, which is our broadband internet service. We announced this in 2019, and it's already in homes. And we've specifically looked at neighborhoods to focus on first that had low connectivity rates, which is right in line with our work around equity and inclusion. We wanted to make sure that people who couldn't get to internet or who couldn't afford it can. And they're able to do that through Highlight, Hillsboro's internet service. And I like the fact that we've focused on making it fast, reliable, straightforward, and affordable. And we've seen the uptick, we've seen the increase in people going toward Highlight and adopting it. And as we go to more neighborhoods, I'm excited to see who else adopts it as well. So I'd have to say Highlight. I'm really proud of that work, and I can't wait to see it grow even more.
Thank you, Councilor Pace. Now, it's important to note that we did not put Highlight into the area of town where it would pay for itself the fastest. We launched it in the part of town, in the area of town where it was needed the most, where the connectivity rates were the lowest. And right now, more than 560 Highlight residential and commercial customers are connected, and Highlight customer feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. And the numbers will continue to grow as construction continues in March south of TV Highway as we finish building out the Chute Park and South Hillsboro areas. And Highlight's income qualifying bridge program continues to offer $10 a month gigabit speed connections. Now, for elected officials, there's our formal authority that comes with our office. And then there's the moral authority that we earn. And the same is true of the city, with the formal responsibility to keep people safe and take care of our roads and things such as that. But then there's the moral responsibility of cities to take care of our people. And we worked hard to meet that challenge during the pandemic in helping with rental assistance, providing food, ensuring that there were no utility shutoffs, and providing economic support for local businesses. There is a sense of morality in how Hillsboro is stepping up to address housing and homelessness as well. We are rising to this moral challenge of our time. So to ease pressure on the cost of housing, we're supporting the development of more market rate housing. We're doing that in South Hillsboro, Amber Glen, Witch Hazel Village, South, and beyond. And in 2022, the city issued more than 3,000 new residential permits. In South Hillsboro, nearly 1,600 homes have been constructed and are occupied. In the Reed's Crossing development, which won a national award, and the Rosedale Parks development, all of the homes are at least 20% more energy efficient than local building code requires. And many of the children in that area will be going to our newest elementary school, Tamarack Elementary, opening in September 23 near Tamarack Park. The school's mascot will be the otters. So you ought to know that we will be adding more parks and fire protection in the area soon. Another area of town where we are seeing substantial residential development is Amber Glen. There are currently 4 projects under construction or soon to be, and that will add more than 1,100 residential units. And while Hillsboro adds market rate housing, we're also focused on directly supporting the development of more affordable housing units. Nueva Esperanza was designed with the input of specific communities, particularly Hillsboro Somali and Latino communities, to incorporate cultural elements and meet workforce, family, and resident needs. The project is now under construction literally across 53rd Avenue from where we are now. And when it opens later this year, it will provide 150 new apartments, including 3- and 4-bedroom apartments for families. The city donated nearly 10 acres of city-owned property over the past year for affordable housing development. For Nueva Esperanza, in addition to selecting the project and donating the 6-acre property, we also invested $17 million of the city's share of Metro Housing Bond funds approved by the voters in 2018, and this will help finance the project. And this is the first housing project in Hillsboro to be developed using the Metro Housing Bonds. I want to thank the developers and owners of Nueva Esperanza, Bienestar, and Housing Development Center, and I invite you to learn more about this project from the display boards outside.
Nueva Esperanza will provide 150 units of affordable housing, including 3 and 4 bedroom units. We estimate that between 400 and 500 people will live here. Many of the families in the Bienestar community live in multi-generational households, meaning that grandparents, adult children, and children live together. These 3 and 4 bedroom units will provide safe, stable, and affordable housing for these families over the long term. Bienestar did a lot of outreach for this project. We reach out to the Latino community, including many elders who've lived in Hillsboro for decades. We also engaged the Somali Empowerment Circle. We're seeing an increasing Somali community in this area. And they were involved in multiple sessions with the architect, community engagement, and shaped many aspects of the design of the site. Bienestar is really excited for this project to open 2023 and start housing families that need it. We are grateful to the City of Hillsboro and all of our funders.
I would also like to acknowledge Councilor Alcaire, who serves on the board for Bienestar, and thank you for your service in that way. Now, as you'll hear later, we're also focused on workforce development opportunities to increase wages so people can afford market rate housing, and we are partnering on affordable home ownership projects. Habitat for Humanity broke ground earlier this month on the Century Commons project that will add 18 new townhomes. The city donated more than 3 acres of property for this project. And these townhomes will be sold to qualifying low-income homebuyers and will be permanently affordable through a community land trust program through Proud Ground. The same is true of Habitat for Humanity's Alder Commons, with 8 new permanently affordable townhomes near downtown. The city's Community Development Block Grant Program acquired 7 homes that were sold to first-time home buyers through a partnership with Proud Ground. And 25 Hillsboro homes were rehabilitated, with a majority of those projects allowing seniors to retain their independence and to continue to age in place. We're also committed as a city to serving those who are currently in need of shelter or permanent housing. Partnering with Washington County and Open Door Housing Works, the city has taken American Rescue Plan funding, one-time funding from the state, and general funding to create the Safe Rest Pods on Southwest 17th Avenue. Thank you to so many of you who have donated to this effort. And we are committed to creatively addressing the challenges associated with homelessness for the long term. And that's why currently we're also working on a year-round shelter as a permanent location. And if you go to the Engage Hillsboro site, you'll see an early concept design of what it will look like. Now, due to the rising costs of construction, we're also requesting from the state of Oregon a $3 million continued investment to help us fill that funding gap. It's important to note, homelessness is not a problem that is unique to Hillsboro or to the metro area. It was the #1 campaign issue across our state. But there's not a one-size-fits-all solution. And that's why the Oregon Mayors Association has created a proposal with direct and ongoing funding for each of Oregon's 241 cities to respond to the challenges of homelessness with solutions that are as unique as each of our cities. We are hopeful that the governor and the legislature will support our proposal, and I encourage you to call Salem and tell them to do just that.
I'm very excited about the prospect of providing a shelter for people experiencing homelessness in Hillsboro. Working with Washington County and other nonprofits, this has been our goal for some time. It's been very challenging, and I think we're close to achieving the goal of taking people from unsafe settings and finding an appropriate and supportive place for them to live.
Thank you, Councilor Van Beveren. So, Hillsboro partners with many community-based organizations and service providers, for instance, Project Homeless Connect and Open Door Housing Works. But we've also used American Rescue Plan funds to help provide jobs to people with current or lived experiences of homelessness. Another part of our work is led by our police staff, who respond to a wide spectrum of calls for service. And with dedicated funding, we have specially trained teams within the Hillsboro Police Department to engage with our unhoused community members and also those experiencing a mental health crisis. In terms of public safety, so much has happened in the past 13 months. Remember, at the start of 2022, devastating fires in downtown Hillsboro. First was an apartment complex fire on East Main Street that displaced several families literally a week after Christmas. And then that same weekend, the 4-alarm arson fire in our historic downtown. And we can't lose sight of the fact that in the midst of losing buildings on Main Street and the impacts that it had on businesses, one of our homeless community members, Ron Knapp, lost his life in that fire. And this tragedy reinforces why we are so committed to providing safe shelter so others aren't in the same circumstance that Ron was that night. I want to acknowledge and again thank our firefighters for their professionalism. Hillsboro Fire and Rescue and their partner agencies were there for us in our time of need. And you can see that every hour of training, every decision on clothing and equipment, every little bit goes into playing an important role in a situation like that. And there was also strong coordination between the city departments, police, public works, fire, and others. The joint task force of investigators led by the police department determined the cause, the origin, and the responsibility of the fatal fire which led to an arrest. And think about the work done that night to make sure that the water pressure stayed constantly high throughout the entire fire response. Or how our public works crews sanded the streets to protect first responders from the water running off from the firefighting that was freezing in the cold temperatures that January morning. And the debris from the fire blocked the catch basins, so public works crews had to pump out all of the water flooding the streets with Vector trucks. And you never think about how these details matter so much until you're in that situation where you need everything to work right. And it helps everyone understand why Hillsboro is one of the safest places to live and work. But I also need to acknowledge another important partner in the response to the downtown fire, and that's you, the taxpayers, who continually support our local option. Because 82% of Hillsboro voters renewed our local option this last May. And because of that, we'll continue to have full funding for our fire and rescue department, our police department, and our parks maintenance program. The local option levy has remained at the same rate for more than 15 years, and thank you for your continued support. So even though Hillsboro was ranked in 2022 as among the top 25 safest cities in America for trick-or-treating, it doesn't mean that we are immune from crime. We do acknowledge the 4 fatal shootings that we had in 2022, each one representing a tragic loss of life. We're grateful that our law enforcement arrested a suspect in each of these homicides. We also have property crimes, including catalytic converter thefts. So it is important that we all get involved in helping our police prevent and solve crimes. And one way is through our security camera partnership that our police department has launched with local businesses. HPD has also launched a full-time bike team. Earlier this month, they arrested a shoplifter for stealing nearly $9,000 in merchandise from local Target stores.
Public safety is very important in Hillsboro, and in particular our Hillsboro Police Department. They're responsible for a few things. One is community building and working with diverse communities and making sure that we respond to needs, and that includes staff who connect with small businesses to better understand. We have also a community advisory committee made up of diverse community members that also can inform us about the needs of diverse communities and what ways that we can work stronger together. When I think about these initiatives, I also think about the memorials that mark along 10th Avenue where shootings have occurred. And that makes me think that we need to keep responding and responding better to the needs of our community. So I appreciate the work of HPD, and I'm looking forward to what's going to happen over this coming year.
Thank you, Councilor Alcare. So we do have much more to do, and we are planning for the future as part of that, with a new police headquarters near the airport and a new fire and rescue station in South Hillsboro neighborhood. We're increasing our staffing to support the increased demand for services in our growing community. And it's important to recognize and remember that safety extends beyond police and fire protection with our everyday core services. Building inspectors, traffic engineers, even street sweepers keeping street shoulders clear where our bicyclists ride are all an important part of our infrastructure. And an perfect example of a safer infrastructure is on Jackson School Road, a completed public works project that won a statewide award for its design, and post-construction has a lower speed limit of 30 miles an hour, which we have asked the state to keep permanent. Safety is about providing clean, high-quality, reliable water every day. And in 2022, the City of Hillsboro Water Department provided more than 7 billion gallons of high-quality drinking water to customers. And with our partners from Tualatin Valley Water District and the City of Beaverton, we are on schedule to bring an additional water supply source to our community by 2026, coming up from the Willamette River. The Willamette Water Supply Project will meet our water needs for decades to come. 40% of this project is funded by ratepayers, while 60% comes from developers who pay for new and future connections to the water system. State and federal low-interest loans and grants are also helping as well. 2 federal grants totaling $4 million will be shared among the 3 partner organizations, thanks to Congresswoman Bonamici's continued advocacy. Costs, as you know, have increased, and saving money is on everyone's mind, including everyone at the City of Hillsboro. And so low-interest WIFIA loans at a 1.36% interest rate, which we secured when rates were at their lowest, will save Hillsboro ratepayers more than $125 million in repayment costs over 35 years. All of these things together help create and maintain a safe community and a high quality of life. And in 2022, multiple national outlets recognized Hillsboro as one of the best 50 places to live in the United States. Money.com had Hillsboro at number 23. Livability dropped us from number 7 to number 40, so they don't matter as much as they did before. But there were other rankings as well. But really the most important evaluation comes from our residents each and every day.
I like Hillsboro. Everything's walkable, which is great. The people are quite friendly. And again, if you enjoy walking or biking places, it's very easy.
So, aquí ya me conocen y me gusta porque hay mucha comunidad latina.
Hillsboro's done a really good job of trying to build community. I appreciate the newsletter that we get that lets us know about the community events that are going on.
I like the activity here and a lot of events around here.
Los servicios, las oportunidades, porque sí me doy cuenta que hay mucha ayuda para nuestra comunidad.
When I walk through the city, I see a city that's on a growth pattern, but a one that makes sense. I admire that they communicate to the community in a major way. I feel like I'm updated on a regular basis about what's happening in the city.
I feel that I'm a part of this place. Yeah, that's what I feel most.
And that's the best rating of all. This past year, Council approved major updates to our transportation system plan to address our needs for the next 20 years and beyond. And as part of that, in 2022, our community added 3.6 miles of cycle tracks, 7.7 miles of sidewalks, and more than 900 street trees. And with TriMet's proposed service increases in Hillsboro, we're looking forward to the extension of the MAX Red Line out to the fairgrounds. We have new lines and increased service to schools, neighborhoods, and community destinations, such as Hillsboro Stadium and downtown Hillsboro, and added service in North Hillsboro employment areas and on Cornelius Pass Road, Walker Road, and Century Boulevard south of Main Street. And a big thank you to our TriMet friends for partnering with us to advocate for federal funds to add a MAX overcrossing at 185th Avenue, and working with us to find a solution to providing access to Brookwood Library and paratransit service for our most vulnerable residents. We also want to acknowledge and thank Metro for the important work that is being done to advance equity and safety through the Tualatin Valley Highway Transit Project. When we talk about livability, we're also talking about sustainability, and it's essential for the City of Hillsboro to take an active role in stewardship of our natural resources and preserving them for our children, grandchildren, and future generations. From Earth Day USA, Tree City USA, pollinators, Monarch City, to urban forestry, we're working to keep healthy our air quality, our forests, streams, wetlands, and more. And we recognize the importance of short-term work and long-term strategies to address climate change, and we are working on that from both sides. Did you know that Hillsboro's home energy score policy has led to more than 1,900 Hillsboro homes obtaining home energy scores to date? And some of them qualified for a free assessment based on income as part of our partnership with the Community Energy Project. Just 30 homes were referred to code compliance, and not a single fine was issued. The city also looks to continue to make a difference by replacing older equipment as it ages out with battery and electric-powered options, especially at parks and maintenance and their equipment. And recently, we added curbside household battery recycling. We are actively expanding the use of electric vehicles in the city's fleet. The city is working with PGE under the Utilities Fleet Partner Program to expand fleet charging at 2 sites. And speaking of PGE, in 2020, with help from Portland General Electric and Energy Trust of Oregon, the city pioneered new technology for water utilities and began generating renewable energy from an underground water pipeline. In 2022, the in-pipe hydroelectric system generated more than 200,000 kilowatt hours of electricity, helping to power the Gordon Faber Recreation Complex. And the city was recently awarded a $100,000 grant from the state of Oregon to identify additional locations for hydroelectric generators in Hillsboro's water system.
A broad bucket of policies I'm very excited about for the city is related to sustainability. We've been leaders in sustainability for many years. We're one of the leaders across the nation for renewable energy use. And the Civic Center itself is one of the first LEED certified buildings that was built in Oregon. I think it's incredibly important that we continue that work. So a couple things I'm really excited about is, bringing together our Environmental Stewardship Committee, which is a group of partners across the city working to advance environmental policies, bringing them together and continuing to work on things like greenhouse gas emissions targets, and looking at our natural resource areas assessment that we had recently done, and making sure that we're really following through and being good stewards of the environment. Additionally, I'm really excited for our home energy score program, which it makes sure that folks understand the efficiency energy-wise of their home and how we can expand that to include even more homes and the multifamily folks in our community.
Thank you, Council President. Our livability can also be enjoyed in our amazing parks, our pickleball courts, and our community events. We have so many wonderful celebrations in Lightopia, Hillsboro Reads, and Orenco Fest. And our commitment to public art is demonstrated in the landmark attraction, the Bridge of Land and Sky over Highway 26 at the Brookwood Parkway. This public art is to be completed in the weeks to come. And through our innovative public-private partnerships, local artists are creating several murals in our Arts and Culture District. These beautiful pieces of art are inspired by our diverse community experiences. Along with our livability, and as a part of that, we need to ensure and continue to ensure a healthy, local, resilient economic environment with family wage jobs and opportunities for entrepreneurs. Because when jobs are closer to home, the reduced trips and the shorter trips help us move closer to our local and statewide sustainability goals. Now, our businesses have faced many challenges in the last few years, from COVID-19 disruptions, supply chain issues, hiring struggles, and inflation, and the challenges have added up. And that's why supporting local small businesses is essential and critical. The economic impact is huge because the money spent locally circulates locally. And I'm impressed by the innovation and the creativity and hard work of our entrepreneurs who take their ideas and turn them into reality. And I'm proud to highlight a few of these small businesses, women-owned businesses, and minority-owned businesses that make their home in Hillsboro. One is Jelana's Bake Shop, a minority-owned business providing refreshments and baked goods. And while Jelana has opened her first retail location in Aloha, her world headquarters remain here in Hillsboro at her home. We have Resolute, Skywater, Danu, Lucia's Dress Shop, Decadent Creations in the Collective Market, Pumpernickel, Insomnia Coffee, Elliott and Murray Coffee Roasters, Top Permise, Chat Cafe, La Mixteca, Oaxaca, Bennett's Urban Farm Store, Arcade 2084, and the nationally renowned Next Level Pinball, and so many more. These are just a few of our local businesses that are fun to support. And many of them are located within our historic downtown, where the momentum and excitement about the year ahead is strong, from Merrill Gardens at 4th and Main to the Main Street Commons development. And just last week, Junior Achievement officially announced its plans to open a JA Discovery Center in the Hillsboro Civic Center above Outdoors Inn. In 2022, we saw the power of community events, bringing people together again. The first Hillsboro Rotary 4th of July Parade since 2019. And congratulations to the Rotary, because 2023 is their 100th anniversary of serving the city of Hillsboro. We saw the addition of La Strada de Pastelli Chalk Art Festival, an awe-inspiring and genuinely fun multi-day event, bringing tens of thousands of people downtown. And there's our Hillsboro Farmers Markets and Tuesday Night Market, our Proud to Be HSD Festival, the Halloween in Downtown Trick-or-Treating event, and I continue to be delighted at the thousands who show up every holiday season for our holiday celebration with our annual tree lighting, organized by Hillsboro Downtown Partnership, and thank them for their important work that they do. Now, a little further east, but still within our downtown, is Calle Diaz, Hillsboro's Latino hub. We're engaging with community members and leaders, business owners, nonprofits in Washington County through the Calle Diaz 10th Avenue Visioning Project. And one of our important partners in this process is Centro Cultural, and I want to acknowledge and congratulate them on their 50th anniversary. The impact that they have on a daily basis in so many ways is something that just cannot be overstated. So again, we're very, very proud and grateful to have them in our area. And we will continue to work with the community on fulfilling their long-term vision for the area while investing in short-term projects including sidewalk repairs, seasonal lighting, safety and lighting grants, and the new murals that I mentioned earlier. And we are leading this work with an anti-displacement approach so that the community that is there now will continue to be there in the future and on their terms. Now, across our community in 2022, Hillsboro saw an estimated $1.6 billion of commercial construction investment, including $187 million in new industrial investment. And with that, we saw 1,095 new and retained jobs. In the Hillsboro Technology Park, we saw new and expanded facilities, including Genentech, Flexential, JSR Micro, the Hitachi Nanotechnology Innovation Center, and the groundbreaking for Edwards Vacuum Technologies expansion. And we received an $85,000 Business Oregon grant. It's a Center of Innovation Excellence Planning Grant, and this will help us establish the Oregon Semiconductor Center of Innovation Excellence to foster academic, industry, and government cooperation around innovation and research. And this is in partnership with Oregon State University, Intel, and the Oregon Business Council. So to support our local companies and employees, we're excited to continue partnering with the Hillsboro School District, Portland Community College, Intel, and many more industry partners on our workforce development programs that were built and designed to be replicated throughout Oregon. In Hillsboro, where 1 out of every 4 jobs is in manufacturing, there are currently approximately 800 job openings in the advanced manufacturing sector, primarily at the technician level. 2 important programs have been launched. One was PCC and Intel's Quick Start Technician Program. The other was the Hillsboro Advanced Manufacturing Apprenticeship for high school students. This program required BOLI, the Bureau of Labor and Industry, to change its workforce rules to allow 16-year-olds to work in this setting. Gyra Semiconductor and Toso Quartz are leading the pilot program this year. Not only will these programs fill the void of skilled technicians, but these trained apprentices will earn on average $300,000 more over the course of their career than non-apprenticed technicians. Now, going back to our partnership with the Hillsboro School District, I want to recognize Superintendent Mike Scott. Mike, first of all, I want to acknowledge the great news. I want to acknowledge the great news that came out in the last few days about the increase in on-time high school graduation rates. Congratulations to you and all of your teachers and staff who have worked so hard to support our students coming out of the pandemic. And Mike has served as superintendent for 14 years and has announced his plans to retire at the end of this school year. I'm so grateful for your leadership and your friendship. You have done so much for our students and families, including mine. And we are grateful for you, and I'm looking forward to sitting down with you in March for our community conversations. And please don't clap again, because then that means he gets more than me. And okay, clap one more time. Yeah. So we partnered with Centro Cultural and the Hillsboro School District to apply for a Future Ready Oregon grant for workforce development. And we got the $300,000 grant. And it's helping all three organizations build our capacity to support and prioritize our underserved communities with more outreach and contact to encourage getting involved in the advanced manufacturing workforce. Another great program is from our water department, and they're developing their own workforce by offering fully paid internships to create and fill a pipeline of talent for jobs with our water team. These programs, all of them are focused on creating job opportunities for everyone, including people just joining or rejoining the workforce and communities of color who may not have had access in the past. These are good family wage jobs and careers without the requirement of higher education. And finally tonight, I want to acknowledge our city's biggest legislative priority for 2023. It's comprehensive legislative action on these 4 pillars of the Semiconductor Task Force report. Expand the supply of industrial land. Preserve and strengthen key financial incentives, build on workforce development investments to develop talent pipelines, and bolster innovative R&D investments through higher education partnerships. I serve on the Semiconductor Task Force, convened by Senators Wyden and Merkley and Congresswoman Bonamici, and led by former Governor Brown and Maria Pope, the CEO of PGE, who is here tonight. This is our top legislative priority as a city, and we're calling on everyone in Salem to take action to ensure that Oregon is competitive in the semiconductor industry in the years to come. It's vitally important for the state to deliver so that we can create equitable economic opportunities, not just for our community, but for communities all throughout Oregon. I want to thank our federal delegation for their passage of the CHIPS Act. And make no mistake about it, the action taken by our legislature is about to change the future of our state. Because we all know it's a national security priority. We all know it's a national economic priority. And it's incumbent upon the state to act now to secure our economic security for the next 50 years, for our youth and future generations to have job opportunities. In the semiconductor area, these are careers that have low barrier for entry, so you don't have to take on massive debt to get started in the industry. You can receive your training at community colleges, and we can help local students obtain semiconductor careers earning good wages with median earnings that are 17% higher than other industries. So it's critical from an industry perspective. They need the workers. It's critical from a community perspective. We want our people to be able to obtain work and have a good career in the place where they call home. This legislative package also includes protecting and extending the Enterprise Zone program, the Strategic Investment Program, and the Gain Share provision. We need to add research and development tax credits, as Oregon is one of the few states in the country that does not offer them. Getting this legislative package passed and signed is going to be a big lift. For Oregon, for Washington County, and for Hillsboro, we need industrial land, and we need comprehensive action on this report during this session if we are to be competitive. In closing tonight, I want to thank you all for coming and for engaging with us and with each other. Hillsboro, we have challenges, but we have opportunities. We have success stories, and we have areas where we need to do more. But we are resilient economically, emotionally, socially, and mentally. And we will continue the work together to keep the state of our city strong. Thank you.